Hey there, welcome back to Congress Unpacked. Let's dive into a Senate showdown, where Senator John Kennedy took on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. It was all about inflation, the bond market, and trade. So, let's break it down. First up, Kennedy hit Powell with questions on the bond market. Powell calmly explained that liquidity is solid, inflation expectations have cooled, and rates are easing from their highs. It seems the bond market is stabilizing, at least for now.
Mr. Chairman, did I understand you to say that the reconciliation bill is the most extraordinary legislation you've ever seen? Did I hear that correctly?
There may have been some lost in translation
I
there.
understand. I was a little late. Tell me what tell me what the bond market's telling you.
Bond market's fine now, functioning well. It's pricing, it's reacting to economic news. There's adequate liquidity. Rates have come down pretty significantly from where they were a couple months ago. So I think I think inflation expectations have come down a bit from April, and in general, the bond market is functioning well.
Okay.
Then, Kennedy switched gears to the US dollar. Despite global uncertainties, the dollar's been weaker lately. Powell didn't give a definitive answer, suggesting markets are digesting unusual challenges. Still, some think the dollar's value is strong.
Explain to me why we have seen in the last few months weakness in the dollar.
That's a great question. And of course, the Treasury Department is responsible for the role of the dollar. So I don't know. I think I would go back to the thought that markets have been digesting an unusually challenging set of circumstances, and have reacted the way they've reacted. The dollar's kind of stabilized now. In fact, it's moved back up here in the last couple of weeks a bit. And there are plenty of people who are still writing that the dollar is still overvalued. We don't have a view on that, of course, but I wouldn't really have an opinion on exactly why it is where it is.
Well, clearly there's a lot of geopolitical risk right now, which would lead one to conclude, all things being equal, that people would be flocking to the dollar and it would be stronger.
Well, you have seen some of that here in the last few days, but again, I don't really have an official view I'd like to share on that. I think there are possible explanations, multiple possible explanations. Again, one of which is that some people still feel the dollar is highly valued.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
If you're finding this coverage valuable, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join Congress Unpacked for more. Next, they tackled tariffs. Kennedy wanted to know how tariffs hit inflation. Powell pointed out that while recent history shows modest effects, today's scenario is different. The impact? It could swing either way, he said. Kennedy dug deeper, asking if the impact hinges on businesses passing costs to consumers. Powell agreed, highlighting how tariffs begin with importers but spread through supply chains. Predicting consumer price impacts? Tough call. Finally, Kennedy questioned whether reducing tariffs could boost growth. Powell was clear, no inflation there. In fact, it could strengthen the economy. Kennedy wrapped it up, tossing a witty nod to Powell's endorsement of policy.
I want to talk for a few minutes about tariffs and inflation. What does history tell us about tariffs and its impact on inflation or deflation?
So the thing is, we've been through a long period in which tariffs were going down. Remember, since World War II, really, it's been a process of lowering tariffs globally. So there just isn't a lot of modern learning on that. I think people look at the incidence of tariffs during the president's first term, but those were like 1/6 the size of what's people are estimating now. And they do find some effects on inflation. But remember, in 2019, when those tariffs were put into place, the economy was slowing. We actually cut rates 3 times. Inflation was running at 1.5%. So it was a very different time. This is different. I think one of the reasons why it's so challenging is that there really isn't a modern precedent. Yeah. And I think we have to be humble about our estimates. And we are very open to the possibility that transmission through into inflation will be less than we think, or maybe more than we think, which is why we're in a position of wanting to take our time and make a smart decision as we see how this unfolds.
Well, obviously, the size of the tariffs makes a difference, does it not?
It does.
And we don't know yet the
We don't.
size of the tariffs.
We don't. And we don't have a view on any of the merits at all. That's not our job. Our job is inflation, as you know, and maximum employment.
Will it also matter? Let's assume that there is upward price pressure. Would it matter how much businesses decide to pass on versus just eat? Does that make sense?
Yes, that matters. That is what matters. You know, the question is who's going to pay for the tariffs. Originally, it's the importer, but it gets passed along through the distribution chain to some extent to the consumer. The ultimate question of it is how much of it does show up in inflation. And honestly, it's very hard to predict that in advance. So we're watching to see, you know, what shows up in measured inflation.
If the president's trade negotiators pursue reciprocity, which I define as both sides reducing, in a quid pro quo, reducing tariffs and trade barriers as much as possible. Ideally, in a perfect world, we would end up with two sides with zero tariffs and zero trade barriers. Would that be inflationary?
No, not at all.
That would cause the economy to roar, wouldn't it?
I think it would be.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your endorsement, Mr. Chairman, of the reconciliation bill.
From bonds to tariffs, Kennedy's grilling revealed Powell's careful insights into our economy's future. So, are tariffs a tool or a consumer tax? Drop your thoughts below, and remember to like, subscribe, and keep watching for more sharp Capitol Hill coverage. This is Congress Unpacked. Thanks for stopping by.